I first woke up 10 years ago, and I first discovered spirituality and meditation not long after that. And it's been an incredible journey since then. And if you want to find out more about that journey, just check out my website, traviscook.uk, and you can find out all about what I've gone through. For this video, though, I'm going to go through the 10 most important lessons that I've learned over these past 10 years. If I could go back in time and talk to my former self, anyone who's just starting out on their awakening journey, these are the lessons that I would say are the most important to know. You're just starting out on your awakening journey, have a listen to these, see what you think. If you've already been on your awakening journey for some time now, well, why not stick around anyway? There's always more to learn, right? So I'd say the number one most important lesson, and these aren't all in order, but I'd say this one probably is the most important. You can't force somebody to wake up. They have to wake up themselves. You can't just slap them around the face and say, hey, wake up. Come on, can't you see this? Look at this ridiculousness. Fortunately, it doesn't work like that. And we can get into why, and I do believe there is actually a greater divine plan and mechanism behind why people have to wake up for themselves. Partly it's because I think once you get through some of the initial challenges, and of course there are always challenges, but once you get through the initial part, you start to prove yourself worthy and you start to manifest a life of your dreams, it really is the best timeline that you can be on if you want to be a good person. If you are somebody who wants to be of service and to help your fellow humans and to be somebody who's not service to themselves and join this amazing timeline, you've got to prove yourself worthy to even be able to begin the journey to get to the divine timeline. That's what I believe is the reason here. And we need evolved people, and people need to evolve on themselves, so you can't force somebody to wake up. I went through the romantic rebellious phase early on in my awakening journey, ruining family dinners, speaking to everyone in my reality, and sometimes I'd find people that were receptive, but if they're not awake and you try and flat force wake them up, it can often go the opposite way. They might even become more entrenched in their beliefs, and yeah, it's a losing battle. I find it's much more effective to spend your time working with, talking with, helping people that are already on their awakening journey. Like, they might have just started yesterday. That's leaps and bounds ahead of somebody who's completely asleep and not, completely believing the agenda, not questioning anything. And so the second lesson is you can't do the work for another. Now, see, this is tied into the first point, but it's slightly different. You might have somebody who is already awake. They've woken up, thank God. However, they aren't taking any action to improve themselves or to further their research or to learn more about the world. They've just sort of woken up and they're not doing anything to help themselves. You can't do the work for someone else. You can't lift weights for someone else. You can't meditate for someone else. You can't research and contemplate for someone else. You can help them, much as you can. But the great saying is, God helps those who help themselves. And we as humans would be wise to apply that to helping other people. It's so much more rewarding to help somebody who's already on the path, already doing some of the work, because then it's an enjoyable co-creative process, as opposed to somebody who's just not getting anywhere, or they've got stuck at a certain perspective and they're getting lost in the negativity that comes from being stuck in that perspective. That ties in nicely as well. Spirituality helps balance out the negativity. Because undoubtedly, if you go on this path and you start researching the corruption of government and you go as deep as you can go, you're going to get to some pretty dark, satanic shit, right? It's going to get pretty brutal. And it can be hard on your psyche to even understand that there is this level of evil in this world. However, that's our job to counter it, but being the very best that we can be. But yes, I've seen people that They go on their awakening journey, they start going down a few rabbit holes, and they're like this and this and this, and they look at a lot of the darkness, but they have no spiritual foundation to balance it out, and they end up becoming black-pilled and doom-pilled and doomsayers, and it's the end of the world and very demoralized. And I do believe that is a trap in and of itself, and partly what the Matrix wants. It wants disempowered people who don't know their true power, who won't look at the spiritual side of life or don't know about it, because there's so much power in the spiritual side of reality. So that it helps balance it out. I couldn't imagine going this deep, this far on this journey without having a solid spiritual foundation to relate to, especially as my life, as I'm a traveler, I move around. Making long-term friendships can be a bit of an issue, but in my life, there's always this continuous spiritual evolution and the work that I'm doing and the connection to God. It keeps this continuous thread going through everything that gives a meaning that otherwise just wouldn't be there. And speaking of meaning, evil has its place. Now this is an interesting one, right? Because obviously we want to do everything that we can to destroy evil, to defeat evil, to bring more light into the world, and at the same time it gets rid of the evil. But paradoxically, evil has its place. We need evil right now. We need high-level sophisticated evil at this time in our period of evolution, so that it can provide the friction for the good guys to then evolve and become even more intelligent and more smarter and more knowledgeable and have greater levels of faith and all of this. So right now I do believe evil has its place, and it ties into the greater agenda of what's actually happening on this planet, which I do think a huge part of it is spiritual evolution. So if everything was just all completely love and light, there wouldn't be any choice. It would just be, you're born into this love, you're born into this light, that is life. Instead of having the choice there where you can choose if you want to go down the paths of service to self or service to others. So that's evil has its place, and we need it here right now. But paradoxically, we need to do everything we can to defeat it. I don't know if we'll ever truly defeat it though. That's a whole other subject in of itself, at least at this time on this planet right now. And on this time on this planet right now, there is a whole team of us, right? There's a whole team of the divine army, divine soldiers, warriors that are here to raise the vibrations, to do the work, to help humanity evolve. We're not alone. You're not alone. If you are somebody who is evolving, who is growing, who is developing, is spiritually evolving, you are not alone. There's a whole team of us, and that doesn't even include your connection to God and anything like that. There's actually a whole team of amazing divine warriors on this planet right now, and I was very lucky, I suppose, but I'm very grateful to have it in my reality that when I was traveling, especially in like Australia and New Zealand, and I stay at a hostel or something, or an off-grid hellpex in the middle of nowhere, and the people I would meet was just incredible. I just was meeting all of these really amazing people. But what was quite funny was how many of these people, we'd start talking about spirituality, it didn't take long to get onto the subject, and then we'd get deep into a discussion, and maybe over the days, we'd have a lot of just talking and backwards and forwards, and they'd say to me like, Trav, you're the only person I've ever been able to speak about these things. I don't get to speak about these things with anybody else. And I'm like, wow, that's incredible. I mean, so many people tell me that, but there's so many of us. Why can't we come together? And I think there is a reason why we are sort of scattered around. However, they're the whole team of us. We just got to get connected. And part of what I'm doing online is to do that, to put myself out there, to reach my soul family. You amazing people. And I am, and it's incredible. And I love working with you guys. So, overcome the prison in your mind first. Right, now this is important, and it ties into things like the dark side of activism, and where people just always look at the problems all out there without actually looking on the inside to try and solve anything. If we don't sort this out, nothing's going to change in the long term. We might, imagine we took down the government, but everybody's still fucked on the inside, and they're not thinking right, and they're not aligned to God. They don't have a personal connection to God. They don't have a self-developed value or moral system that guides them through life. You need to sort yourself out first. Now, of course, it's a process, right? And nobody here ever really is completed, I don't think, unless that's when you become enlightened or whatever. So you don't need to be perfect before trying to help the outside world. But if you sort a big part of this out first, or make this your priority to sort out your internal world, then your own personal external world will improve, will increase in its magnitude and its amazingness, depending on what you want out of life, really. So if we had enough people just do that, and they'd start taking more actions aligned with their path of the heart, start creating more and tapping into this creativity, that alone is hugely powerful. It's huge, and it's not given enough credit on how powerful it could be if people just in their day-to-day lives start living more aligned with their heart and overcoming the prison in their mind first. Number 7, this is quite a powerful one, and it's one person, you, me, anyone, can change this entire world. And I've seen it firsthand how much it can happen. One idea at the right time, executed in the right way, can smash through human consciousness. Now that we have the internet, it's truly incredible what you can do if you can use this technology to your advantage, the things you can create are endless. The ripples you can make across the entire world, across the entire species, it's amazing. Really, it truly is. So what would you like to see more of in this world? You can bring it in and create it. That's the power that you have. Before we even get into things like the Maharishi effect, or how we look into like reality creation on a grander scale other than just manifesting things for your personal desires in your little section of reality, there's things like spiritual activism. And I have an article on my website, and you can check that out. Literally just search for spiritual activism and you can check that out. So number 8 would be awakening momentum. And essentially this is a concept which is just a definition of the rate at which humanity is transitioning from a sleeping state to its awakening journey. How quickly is that happening day by day? How many people day by day are actually transitioning from being asleep to their awakening journey? And it's important to know about this, I'd say, because there's talk about, we'd like everyone to be awake tomorrow, and that sounds really nice, and given the dire situation that we're in, wouldn't it be beautiful if there's tomorrow everybody's awake? But given the current way things are set up right now, with the pension system, with the belief in the monetary system, with all the debt and the mortgages and all this bullshit, if it happened too quickly, it would all fall apart, and everything that's tied to this current system, including like the food system and the supply of water and people who fix the streets and all that shit, everything is all sort of binman, all sort of tied together that enough people still believe enough in this system that it kind of works. Ideally, we want a soft transition where piece by piece by piece, we are recreating or destroying a part of this old system with something that's better, that's actually for the people, that serves the people, by the people, right? But if it was too drastic and enough people tomorrow realised that their pension scheme is a complete lie and a scam, well, that would be a massive domino that would knock down the entire system and then would be thrown back quite some time in our technological development, because things like electricity grid goes down, we're back a couple hundred years, right? So there is a divine, delicate balance, I do believe, and we can do our part to assist in how quickly humanity wakes up. But essentially, as we mentioned in the first point, we can't force somebody to wake up. So we can, do our part, but and have an effect, an impact on the awakening momentum. But ultimately, it's not completely in our control, that one. Something that also is worth highlighting whilst we're on the subject of control is number 9, the good guys have power, have a lot of power. This is often overlooked and just not given enough credit. Again, this is why I've highlighted it. This is something to have in your perspective, to understand when you start look at certain things, the way they're going down in the world, why certain things are happening. The divine has so much more power here than it's often given credit. And I've seen it time and time again in my life. And I don't believe the bad guys have complete control. It's hard to say exactly, do they have 60% control or is it 80%? I don't know. It does seem like they have a lot of control, no doubt, but they don't have complete control. And if they don't have complete control, there's a huge possibility that their entire plan could fail. And that's where we come in, right? That is our job. It helps take away the potential blackpilling that can happen, again, from some of these, getting into some of this awakening stuff that can be very dark. So this helps balance it out, knowing and having faith that there is this very strong divine presence here, and it can help you in your life. There is a spiritual hierarchy. There are beings more evolved than you just waiting to help you, with so long as you learn your own lessons and you ask in the right way for the right thing. And finally, to truly win this, we have to evolve. And it ties into one of the previous points, but still, that is essentially the most powerful thing anybody can do, is to evolve spiritually. And that would be, if you were to pick things to develop, my advice would be develop yourself spiritually as much as you can, as fast as you can, as efficiently as you can, as best as you can, and then many other things will fall into place after you've got that sorted out. And a strong, solid spiritual foundation is just invaluable. And then the more we evolve, the closer we get to God, the better thinking we have, the more efficient we are with the time that we have. That's when we can tap into a higher level of consciousness, a higher level of being, and you can actually get original thinking. You can channel original thoughts or wherever they come from. You can create them. these original thoughts that might just be an idea that completely transforms the world. But to have it first, we need a higher level of evolution. But also another reason why we need to spiritually evolve is because a lot of the reason why we're here, it's not just because of these evil elites. It's because on the day to day, there are people that are living their lives out of alignment with the divine, essentially. They're not living in alignment with their higher self. And to get to that point, spiritual evolution. And my website's in part hugely dedicated to spiritual evolution. I could talk again. This video could double in length and we're nearly done. I could just talk about spiritual evolution. So those are the 10 most important lessons that I've learned over these past 10 years that I think anyone on their awakening journey at any stage is very beneficial for anyone on their awakening journey. And it's very exciting. If you're listening to this video and you've got so far, I'm going to assume you're on your awakening journey. So best of luck to you. It's an amazing thing. This is the best decision I ever made in my life, was to wake up and start my awakening journey. And it's absolutely incredible what you can create. So if you'd like to work together, if you'd like to evolve spiritually, take your life to the next level, I'm here as a holistic coach, and you can book a free discovery call with me. And 30 minutes, and we can get into, well, knowing who you are, what you're about, what it's like for us to work together, vibe together, talk together, and how we can take your life to the next level. And if you are especially involved in like spiritual development, spiritual evolution, because I find that I can help people the most with what I've been through, and some of the perspectives that I have right now, some of the belief systems that I've developed have taken so much time and effort and struggle to create, to develop, to acquire, and it's very valuable. And I find that this could be very valuable for other people, and also to share what I've been through, as it can help others, but also bring out the wisdom you have in yourself. That's why I love this coaching. It's so rewarding. So if you'd like to join me, message me on my website. You can book a call direct through the website. If you go to traviscook.uk and go to the one-to-one coaching section, you can book a free discovery call. Big ups to everybody on their awakening journey.